There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers, a dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends, a place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view, but when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. You're tuned in to the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. Along with me, the lovely and very talented Mr. Tim Dennis. Hello, Tim.
Hello.
Hey, listen, so I just going to make this mention again this week just because I'm still getting emails about it. Holzer Files is on a mid-season break. It was a surprise to us as well, but with the holidays here and the rollout of Discovery Plus, the network wanted to make sure to shine the brightest light they could on our program. And because they're trying to roll out so many things right now, they decided to push us for the rest of the season till March, which is good news for us because in December, not always the best time for a paranormal TV program, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So March-ish is going to be when they release the last 7 episodes of the Holzer Files. So keep that in mind. We will be back. Here's something I'm going to do, though. I think right after Christmas, Tim, what I'd like to do is return to the Holzer's Ghosts format.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Thursday nights, I encourage all of you to go and watch season 1 of the Holzer Files. We'll start with the very first episode, which was the Whaley House in San Diego. We'll start with that episode, and we will watch it, and then I'll do the Holzer's Ghost episode afterward, where we'll talk about it, and we'll go through those 10 episodes from season 1, and around that time, we should just about be getting to the launch of the rest of season 2 of the Holzer Files. So we'll have an extra show and content available, but we're going to do that after the holidays. I'm only putting it off because with the holidays upon us, and I have so much stuff going on. Tim has so much stuff going on since the Holzer Files was pulled until March. I've made other plans, and I'm going in to have surgery next week. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be a little tied up, and I've got a lot of doctor's appointments to make sure I'm healthy enough for surgery. You know, you get to a certain age, Tim, they have to make sure that you're okay to go in and do what they're going to do to you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's the case that I'm up against. So we will, right after Christmas, we'll start doing Holzer's Ghost episodes. So I will cue you in. I think it'll be. Let me just look at the calendar, Tim. That's a French word.
That's the thing that you drain water out of spaghetti with, right?
Yeah. No, that's a colander.
Oh.
Here's what we'll do. So like next Thursday is Christmas Eve. The following Thursday is New Year's Eve. Mm-hmm. So we'll launch it on let's say the 7th.
Okay.
We'll watch the episode. We'll record that episode live on my Facebook feed and live YouTube on the 7th. The episode podcast form will be made available on the 8th of January. And we'll start doing that throughout the month of January.
Right on.
A little bonus gift from your buddies at Darkness Radio. What do you think, Tim?
I like it.
Yeah, a little fun.
Yeah.
We'll have some fun. We'll revisit season 1 of the Holzer Files, and I have some special guests from season 1 who will join us to talk about these strange happenings and things that they saw. Some of the guests you saw, some of the experiencers have said that they'd like to join me for a Holzer's Ghost episode. So we've got some of the historians and experiencers. So that's what we're going to do. I've just made that decision right here, right now. There is no other place I'd rather be, Tim, in the immortal words of an 80s band.
Okay.
Who did that? Why can I not think of who sings that song?
I wish I knew which song you were referring to.
Right here, right now. There is no other place I'd rather be.
I wish you wouldn't have referred to that song. That was
Yep, that's a good one. All right.
Yeah.
One of our favorites. I remember the song. I just can't think of who sings it or any other part of the song but that one segment. So, hey, but it lives in perpetuity in my brain, just that one line.
That's good.
Doesn't it suck when you get a song trapped in your mind, but you only know like one or two sentences of it, and that's all that keeps replaying over and over? It's like a slow form of torture.
I normally have the cross-reference of the band I'm singing in my head, but hold on. You know what? I can't let this stand. I have to
look it up while I'm doing the news. I've got a story to read.
Yeah.
I'll let you look that up.
Yeah.
This first one, Tim, is kind of a Parashare and a news story. Why do I say that? Because a person wrote into me and sent me a heads up on something. Listening to your podcast is a break from reality after 10 hours a day of work. I truly enjoy it. Just a heads up, though, that poor man that was assumed dead in Kenya, there's a follow-up story. Now, for those of you that missed it last week, my version of zombie coming back to life story about a man in Kenya who was in the morgue being ready to be drained of blood and pumped with formaldehyde, suddenly woke up screaming. Here's the story. A Kenyan man who came back to life in a morgue where he had been taken after being presumed dead last week has died, this time for real, local media reports. A mortuary attendant is said to have been preparing the body last week for preservation when the man woke up and started screaming before passing out. Peter Kigan, 32, who had been suffering from a chronic disease, was taken to a hospital for treatment and was discharged later. He told Kenya's Daily Nation newspaper last Thursday that he was happy to be alive. "This is the work of God," he told the paper. A story generated a lot of reaction by Kenyans on social media, and the matter was debated by elected representatives in the Kericho County Assembly. They set up an investigation team to look into how this issue could have happened. A report absolved health workers from any blame. On Thursday, a family spokesperson confirmed the death of the man to the Standard newspaper. Kigan was pronounced dead upon arrival at the Kericho County Hospital, where he was being transferred from Kapaket for further treatment and management. That's what Hezbon Tony said. So sadly and not sadly, I mean, how many people get to come back from the dead and live another couple of days to say their goodbyes and see their loved ones?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's a rare opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you able to crack that? Oh, no, thank you, Marie, for sending that on to us. Were you able out of who sings that song better than I did?
Jesus Jones, Dave. No, I have no idea.
You don't?
I just said it. Jesus Jones. Yeah.
Oh! I thought you were saying Jesus Jones. I don't have any idea who it is.
Yeah, it's Jesus Jones. Yeah.
I got it right here, right now. There is no other place I'd rather be. Hey, I do want to make a mention, though, Timothy, if I might, if I may.
Sure.
So last week on the episode, we have an EVP that we captured.
Now, was this the episode where I asked the old man in the basement to say something?
No, that was during our news segment.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
This was actually during our interview with Lauren Therian.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
It says, "Hi, Dave. Here's your email. Love yours and Tim's podcast from your show Holzer Files. Keep up the great work and positivity. I was listening to your latest podcast, Deceptive Gods, Confronting the Divine and Demonic, and I thought I heard an EVP. After you asked Lauren if he believes the darkness in the house was responsible for losing his family member, then at around the timestamp of about 21:55 in the episode, you hear a whisper. Now, I'm not going to say what this answer is. A lot of people online already did. And I'm like, oh, people always think they hear something on our show.
Right.
And I rewind it, and it's, me sniffing or you farting or something, right? It's always an identifiable sound.
Okay.
I can't identify this. It's not you. It's not me. And it's not our guest, because the EVP speaks and he comes in right after full voice. So it's really bizarre, but we did in fact capture what appears to be a piece of electronic voice phenomena during that interview. It's crazy and it's cool.
Now, being it's a Holzer's Ghosts show,
yes,
I will have to go back and listen to the original audio, because in all fairness,
no, it's not a Holzer's Ghost show.
I thought you said it was.
No, it was last week's show, our Thursday episode, It was because remember last week there was no Holzer's Ghost episode.
Okay, because it sounded like you just said
Therian.
Okay.
No, Lauren Therian was the guest. Deceptive Gods Confronting the Divine and Demonic was the episode last week.
Because I was going to say I put extra processing on the Friday show, so because it's an internet show and I have to put extra processing, and that does create some artifacts.
No. This isn't an artifact. This is a very clear response. There's no doubt in my mind that this is, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Tim, because I love you. And I do. I don't know if you're aware of that. I don't know if I tell you enough, and perhaps I should. We need that more, right?
Sure.
I'm going to pull up that episode right now, and I'm going to play that piece.
Okay.
If I can get to it here. Hold on one second, because it is pretty crazy. All right. So here, hold on. My fat finger took it from where I wanted it to be and moved it to a different place. I'm going to play it. Okay, 21:55. Okay, so I think I'm hooked up to my speaker here.
Okay.
So we're going to give this a chance to listen. I'm going to play this out. So here you go.
After that, my mother had lost, a child in the house. So a lot of darkness, a lot of darkness in that home.
Do you believe that the darkness in the home led to that loss of your family member?
My mother believes so.
Did you hear that?
I did. Yeah, I heard something. Yeah.
Yeah, it says, right as I say that. So you started about the 21:55 mark and let it play so you hear the setup. And then it's right after I ask that question, this voice responds. I'm going to I'll play it one more time because, again, I love you and our listeners. So let me see if I can cue it up to about the right spot again, because it's delicate work with fat fingers, Tim. Oh, my God. All right, here we go. Nope. I'm not adept at doing this with my fingers.
That's what she said.
Thank you, everybody. Sadly, we can read each other like a book. Mm-hmm. All right. No, good God. Why? I said it, and then all of a sudden it bounces forward like it doesn't want to be heard. Oh, jeez. It is absurd. Well, I said it, and literally it jumps.
Well, we've got it once on the file here. Now, here's the answer. Here's a question, and this is an interesting conundrum. Mm-hmm. Which side did it come from?
I don't know. It's so clear. Here we go. I think we're right at about the spot here. Hold on.
Darkness in that home.
Do you believe that the darkness in the home led to that loss of your family member?
My mother believes so.
So right before he says, my mother believes so, you hear this voice go, yeah. And it, like I said, it's definitely not you and I.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not him because it goes, yeah, my mother believes so. It's like he's coming right, within a millisecond after that response.
Right.
So I don't know.
Because, the way we do our recording, I roll the record deck over here, but everything kind of rolls on your end.
Right. I was going to say, you mute your microphone.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
But I also mute my microphone usually when I'm not speaking, because I'm in a house full of children and dogs and cats and neighbors that like to mow their lawn in the middle of winter. So I can never tell where it's coming from. What the noises are. So I always mute my microphone. So I ask my question and I hit my mute button, and then you capture that, right before he speaks again. So I don't know.
Did it come from the guest's end? So was the EVP from the guest's end?
That's what it appears to be.
Yeah.
That's my point. That's how bizarre it is.
Yeah.
So if you missed it, go back and listen to last week's episode and listen to it all the way through. Can anybody else hear? Are there any other spots where a whispery voice seems to answer? And that was sent in to me by Crystal Bauman in Washington. And I saw a bunch of people on social media talking about that aspect last week as well. So very cool. Way to hear those things. Very, very good ear, my friends. Thank you very much for realizing that that's what was taking place. It is really bizarre. I mean, we've had some moments in this show where we've heard some weird stuff, or we've had weird, like even in our very first episode with Jason Hawes, the fact that like Mexican music is piping through as he's, it was just a weird phenomena. Do, 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 do. And we've had other weird things happen. And, we did that EVP we caught, to me is still one of the most chilling, when I was speaking with, the UFO abduction lady. Her name is escaping me right now, DeLuca, and her husband. Was it Barbara DeLuca? I can't remember off the top of my head. I apologize. It was like eight years ago. And as I'm talking to her and I ask a question, just before her husband speaks, you hear a voice say, like, "I'm going to kill you."
Oh, yeah.
Remember? Mm-hmm. And, Barbara Andreasen Luca, I think is who it was. And I stopped it. And I'm like, wait, Barbara, did you just say something? She's like, no. I go, did you whisper something? No. And then I asked her husband. He's like, no, why? And you went and clipped it during the commercial break and we played it back, I think.
Yep.
But because you were like, no, I didn't hear anything. I'm like, no, dude, there's an answer. And I remember you during the break, you're like, oh man, there's something there. And we played it back. That was a weird moment too. But this might be the richest, loudest EVP I think we've ever collected.
Yeah, it is. That's pretty loud, pretty impressive. Yeah.
Another quick little email before we get into some more news. Hello, Dave and Tim. Merry Christmas. That's how it begins.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Dave, you've mentioned a few times that you haven't had any real communication from your late mother. Well, here's my related experience. In early 2016, I lost my wife of 25 years. And for the next year or two, the main way I dealt with this loss was lots and lots and lots of alcohol. I don't know if I was getting into a better place and cut way back on drinking, or maybe I cut back on the drinking and got into a better place. It was then that I started having some communication with my late wife in a few dreams. My wife was deaf, and if we were having an argument, I may have been right or winning. She would just turn away and stop reading my lips, so I could not officially win the argument. That drove me crazy. In the dreams, I saw her in a room talking to people. I was very excited, trying to get her attention. She looked at me, frowned, and then turned around and would not turn back to me. At that point, I got really mad because she was doing it to me again. Then she turned around, laughed, smiled, made fun of me for getting mad, and more or less told me to keep going. She's fine. I'll be fine, and we'll see each other again. It brought me comfort and happiness. I think once in a while she still checks in, and that comes from Stephen. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah.
That's funny that she's still screwing with him from the other side. Oh, that's funny. All right, we have some news to cover, Tim. I don't know if you're aware of that, but we do supernatural news on days like this.
Had no idea.
It's true. For people that are trying to keep score, Wednesdays, supernatural news. Thursdays, we've got, guests and such that we talk to. Yeah.
I should show up. I should show up to this thing more often.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Yeah,
Strange Skies. That's our show this Thursday with guest Ryan Sprague. Our gaze will turn to the strange skies as we talk about UFOs. And it's funny because, like, I've got a bajillion UFO guests that are fascinating, that are coming in fast and furious. But it's like I don't want it to be constant flow of guests talking about UFOs.
Oh, good way to put that. You could have put it another way, but good way to put that.
Yeah. So I'm very cautious, but we are going to be playing a lot of great interviews next week on Christmas Eve, Tim, because there's no better way to spend Christmas Eve than with your buddies here on Darkness Radio.
Right.
And Monica Black will be our guest. And on Christmas Eve, Tim, we'll take people back to a happier time. We'll talk about a demon-haunted land with Monica Black.
That's a happier time?
Well, it's a demon-haunted land, witches, wonder doctors, and the ghosts of the past in post-World War II Germany with Monica Black. See, ghosts of the past, like the past, present ghost from the Dickens story, Christmas Carol?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. It was a thin grab, but it's all I had.
No, it's good. I mean, there's nothing like having the pants scared off you when you've eaten too much on Christmas.
Right.
Just saying.
Today, it says here in our little blurb about it, today the boys take a look at a revelatory counter-history of post-war Germany, not as a reborn democracy, but as a nation convulsed by apocalyptic visions, witchcraft trials, and supernatural obsessions. That's on Christmas Eve. There's also apparitions we talk about of the Virgin Mary. See? More Christmas tucked in there, Tim.
I see. Yeah.
All right. Maybe again, thinly veiled, but it's there.
A little bit.
So this Thursday, it's Strange Skies with Ryan Sprague. Next Thursday, A Demon Haunted Land with Monica Black. The following Thursday will be the beginning of our 15th anniversary.
Yeah.
Dude, I still can't believe it. 15 years. If you'd have come to me 15 years ago and said, dude, this show is going to be on for at least 15 years, I'd have gone, you are so high.
Well, I generally am, but I would have probably come to you and said, hey, 15 years, write it down, plan on it, buckle in there, buckaroo.
I wish I would have believed you, but here we are 15 years later, none of us expecting to be here, but I don't want to go, as David Tennant's doctor said in his final episode of Doctor Who. So I plan on being here with you guys until they pull this microphone from my cold, dead hands. Which would be weird because I wear it around my head. But either way, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So I've got two stories that kind of are on the true crime spectrum. Speaking of which, I hope you guys enjoyed the special free bonus episode yesterday of True Crime Tuesday. It was just such an amazing story and a fantastic guest. We had to get it out there and let people hear it. So remember, if you are a subscriber to True Crime Tuesday, you got the Dumb Crime Stupid Criminals. The regular audience did not. So if you are a subscriber to our True Crime Tuesday podcast and to Stitcher Premium, you got to hear the full interview with India Oxenberg talking about Seduced, her documentary Inside the NXIVM cult. And you got to hear the Dumb Crime Stupid Criminals. But for those of you on Darkness Radio side here, you got to listen to the show with ads without the Dumb Crime Stupid Criminals. We just want the subscribers to feel that they got a little something for putting in that extra effort of subscribing. So there you go. If you have not yet subscribed, that's cool. We dig it. But if you'd like to subscribe to Stitcher Premium and hear all of Darkness Radio episodes without commercials, and get access to True Crime Tuesday, and get access to every other show under the Stitcher Premium banner. That's right, not just our show, every show. Go subscribe at Stitcher Premium and use the code words Darkness Radio for deep cut savings for a 1-year subscription. You're going to want to do that. Trust me. It's the gift that keeps on giving, and you get to listen to all these shows ad-free. You can't ask for something better.
You can.
Well, you could, but I can't afford to give it to you.
Oh.
All right, here we go. First two stories. And our second story has an audio bit attached to it. So I'm queuing Tim up for that. It is the audio of the Zodiac code. So we'll be talking about that in a second. But first, after spending 4 years behind bars awaiting trial for allegedly killing a teenage friend, Edward O'Neill was temporarily granted his freedom when his bond was reduced over the summer. But just 4 months after posting bail, Texas authorities say the alleged devil worshiper has killed again, fatally shooting his cousin's ex-boyfriend before admitting the crime to his mother. I told the DA he should not get out. He killed my son. He'll be killing again. That's what Krista Roberts, the mother of the 16-year-old whom O'Neill fatally stabbed in 2016, told ABC 13. I'm sorry you had to go through this. Justice is going to be served. O'Neill, 23, now faces a second murder charge for killing Derek Mike on November 28th outside his cousin's Houston apartment complex when the 39-year-old showed up to retrieve his belongings after the breakup. According to the Harris County District Attorney's Office, Mike, who was still conscious when a police officer rushed him to the hospital, sadly died the next day. The 23-year-old who allegedly told police he killed Mike at his cousin's request is now back in custody in Harris County Jail without bail. He faces separate trials for Mike and Ryan Roberts' murders. Our prosecutors told the judge in court that we opposed bond being lowered for this defendant, and we twice filed motions asking the judge to set conditions on the defendant's bond if he were to be released pending trial. The district attorney's office said in a statement to the Daily Beast, we also let the judge know the facts of the original murder to ensure the court was aware of our concerns for public safety. In the high-profile 2016 case, O'Neill was charged with fatally stabbing Ryan Roberts, a freshman at Jefferson Davis High School, then dumping his body in a wooded area behind his apartment complex. Authorities say Ryan's mother filed a missing persons report in January 2016 after her son did not come home from school. Days later, authorities say they learned that O'Neill, then 19, had admitted to a friend that he murdered Ryan. The teen's body was eventually found by Texas EquuSearch. Around the time of that murder, according to court documents first obtained by the Houston Chronicle, O'Neill had tried to take his own life and was checked into a psychiatric unit at Ben Taub Hospital. Now, in a police interview, O'Neill's mother revealed that her son also confessed to stabbing Ryan Roberts to death and carrying his body into some nearby woods. O'Neill's mother told ABC 13 at the time that her son worshiped the devil and that the murder was a satanic act. She said he'd killed several family pets in the past. His father, Edward O'Neill Sr., said to KHOU after his son's arrest that he has a history of mental illness and was into devil worshiping. Oh, I know that he's worshiping the devil and stuff, O'Neill said in 2016, while maintaining his son was innocent. He didn't tell me nothing. He didn't say nothing about nothing. O'Neill also admitted to KPRC2 during a Jailhouse 2016 interview that he worshiped the devil, but insisted he didn't kill Roberts and that another friend was responsible. Why would I kill my best friend who did nothing to me, he told the outlet. Over the next 4 years, O'Neill remained in Harris County Jail on a $50,000 bond awaiting his trial that was set pending due to his mental competency. During his time in jail, O'Neill's lawyers revealed he had a diagnosis of schizoaffective disorder and has a history of mental health issues. In his own letter to the court, months after his arrest, the 23-year-old stated he was hearing voices and feeling suicidal. A 2019 assessment concluded that O'Neill either had a mental illness or an intellectual disability, the Houston Chronicle reported. Despite O'Neill's mental health issues, the 23-year-old's bond was lowered to just $25,000 in June at the request of his defense attorney and approved by felony mental health court judge Mark Kent Ellis with several conditions, including no contact with the Roberts family, an 8 p.m. curfew, and a GPS ankle monitor. 2 months later, O'Neill made bond and was released. But despite the slew of conditions intended to monitor O'Neill's every move, authorities were called to his cousin's apartment complex at 11 p.m. on November 28th in North Houston after reports Mike had been shot. Authorities say O'Neill shot the 39-year-old several times. According to the probable cause affidavit, O'Neill's cousin told authorities Mike had gone over to collect his belongings and move out of the apartment. O'Neill's mother told authorities her son confessed to the murder, saying that he committed the grisly crime at the behest of his cousin, who believed Mike had cheated on her. The mom then told authorities that her son has mental issues and that she is afraid of what else he might do. The cousin, who has not been identified, also told investigators she had a handgun in her apartment that she was missing after the slaying. She claimed she heard gunfire, but did not actually see the shooting. She looked out the window and saw her cousin running away. Investigators wrote in the affidavit she thinks Edward had taken her gun. So this one's deep and twisted. Did the cousin really ask her mentally challenged cousin to murder her ex-boyfriend? But here's the thing. Who made the $25,000 bond? If the kid's own mom was not comfortable with the kid and felt that he definitely had some mental issues and was not safe, why in God's green earth was he released on a lower bond? Yeah. And should there be a line of culpability on the judge who signed off on this? I don't know. It seems so strange to me. You know that this kid is a devil worshiper. Okay, whatever. Everyone's got the right to free religious beliefs, right? But he's murdered somebody. He's awaiting trial for that murder and mental competency. Why would you release him out into the wild?
It's a good question.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Now, this story, Dave, what does that last story have to do with the paranormal? Well, many of you sent it to me because he is a devil worshiper, a Satanist, if you will. So we thought that we'd mention that, but it also paired nicely with this next story because this was the biggest story sent to me this week for Darkness Radio. The Zodiac Killer Code cracked after 51 years. That's right. One more Zodiac Killer mystery has been solved as code broke another of the serial killer's ciphers. The Zodiac Killer attacked at least 8 people in California between 1966 and 1969. He claimed to have killed at least 37 people, although only 5 of those deaths can be definitively attributed to the killer. While the Zodiac Killer has never been caught, his case is still considered open and active. And now one major mystery has been solved. An international team of private citizens and code breakers have cracked the Zodiac Killer's mysterious 340 cipher, 51 years after it landed on the FBI's desk. Zodiac had a habit of taunting police by sending letters to the press, and several of those contained intricate codes, some of which he claimed would ultimately reveal his identity. This marks the second coded message to be broken by civilians. In July of 1969, a puzzle sent in pieces to the San Francisco Chronicle, San Francisco Examiner, and the Vallejo Times-Herald newspapers in 1969 was cracked by a schoolteacher from Salinas, California, and his wife. The puzzle was known as the 408 cipher after the number of characters it depicted. The first cipher laid out what was essentially the Zodiac's manifesto with lines such as, "I like killing because it's so much fun." This second cipher came to be known as 340 cipher and was sent in a letter to the San Francisco Chronicle in November of 1969. So here we have it, the actual detailed translation of that cipher. Go ahead and play it, Tim.
Mana mana. Mana mana. Mana mana.
There you have it. There you have it.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Actually, it makes more sense than what it actually said. You know, people were so excited that the cipher has been cracked, but it doesn't really tell us much. Here's the actual translation of the cipher. "I hope you are having lots of fun and trying to catch me," reads the message, according to David Oranichak, a member of the team which deciphered the cryptogram. "That wasn't me on the TV show, which brings up a point about me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise." Now, paradise spelled Paradice. So interesting, this guy was so intelligent that he could create all of these cryptograms that take 51 years to be cracked, but he misspelled paradise. Unless you misspell a word on purpose to throw off the rest of the cipher cracking.
Could be.
So, or I don't know. Because I now have enough slaves to work for me, where everyone else has nothing when they reach paradise, again, misspelled. So they are afraid of death. I am not afraid of death because I know that my new life will be an easy one in paradise death. The coded message contains 340 characters, but no obvious clues. Now, the section which says "that wasn't me on the TV show" refers to an episode of a Bay Area television talk show, The Jim Dunbar Show, where attorney Melvin Belli was the guest. Someone claiming to be the Zodiac called the Oakland police station on October 22nd, 1969, demanding Belli or Boston attorney F. Lee Bailey appear on the show. While the show was being broadcast, the station received several calls from a man who called himself Sam and kept hanging up in order to stop police from tracing the calls. The cryptic message was sent 2.5 weeks later. On December 20th, 1969, Belli received a letter from the Zodiac at his home. To confirm he was the killer, a portion of a victim's bloodstained shirt was included in the envelope. The message was interpreted as the Zodiac killer's way of saying Sam was an imposter. The coded message was first submitted to the FBI laboratory on November 13th of 1969. Their cryptographic and racketeering records unit reviewed numerous proposed solutions over the past 51 years. but none had merit. On Friday, Ornichek posted a video on YouTube detailing how he, Sam Blake of Australia, and Jarl van Eyck of Belgium cracked the code. Last weekend, a team I'm on solved the 340 code and submitted it to the FBI. Ornichek told the San Francisco Chronicle they have confirmed the solution. This is no joke. This is the real deal. To break the cipher, the team collected information about variations in the cipher text. My main contribution here was actually enumerating many possible reading directions through the cipher in over 650,000, Sam Blake told ZodiacKillerFacts.com. David and I both ran these through AsDecrypt and ZydaCrypto, respectively. Interesting, only AsDecrypt was able to find the fragments of the complete solution. It was a needle in a haystack. Even finding the right haystack to search was lucky. The three experts checked and expanded each other's work extensively before submitting their findings to the authorities on Friday, December 4th. The Bureau called Ornichek 3 times on Saturday morning. When I talked to the FBI, they only needed to make one change to the solution, Ornichek told ZodiacKillerFacts.com. The team deciphered a 6-letter section as so her. Ornichek said the FBI cryptanalyst called me and she said she thinks it's supposed to say sooner instead. The FBI confirmed the cryptologic researchers' claims about the cipher popularly known as the Z340. The FBI is aware that a cipher attributed to the Zodiac Killer was recently solved by private citizens, the FBI San Francisco's office tweeted Friday. The Zodiac case still remains an ongoing investigation for the FBI San Francisco and our local law enforcement partners. The Zodiac Killer terrorized multiple communities across Northern California, and even though decades have gone by, we continue to seek justice for the victims of these brutal crimes. While the Zodiac Killer was never caught, the most likely suspect remains Arthur Lee Allen, who died of a heart attack in 1992, having never been formally charged with the killings. But other suspects have held the attention of amateur sleuths through the years, although only a small handful have actually appeared credible. Perhaps the cracking of the latest Zodiac code will finally bring investigators a step closer to solving this case. Well, at this rate, it's been 50 years since the last code was cracked, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
You and I might be 183 before they finally figure it out.
I think so. Yeah.
How weird. Here's something I'm curious about. UFOs are sighted often in strange places and sometimes around historic aspects.
Right.
And we've often thrown out on the show that what if those UFOs are us? What if they're time travelers going back to get it right?
Or maybe even to influence history or to try and change history.
Could be, but it seems they're more in an observatory effect. And I just wonder if that's the case. And once in a while, these time travelers seem to try to make themselves known. Will one of them ever come forward? And we encourage you, if you are a time traveler and you happen to be listening to Darkness Radio, which, Tim, we might, who knows? We could be the Bill and Ted of the future. You never know. Maybe our show is what brings peace to the planet one day. So maybe we're highly regarded in the future, Tim, much more so than we are right now. Maybe we're listened to. If one of you time travelers listening to this show could go back and tell us in an email who killed or who the Zodiac Killer was, because you as a time traveler could go back to that point in time and tell us, follow him home, do whatever it takes, get us a name. For certain. Just that's all I'm asking. It's a small get for our show. So, time travelers, you can give us a call at 651-300-4977. 651-300-4977 if you are a time traveler. And you can tell us. I'll tell you what, tell me 2 things. One thing is, does the current administration really know about UFOs? Curious about that. And do they think it's alien or time travelers? And who was the Zodiac Killer? That's all I'm curious about.
Well, now you saw the story, didn't you, over the last week or two?
I've got a story I'm about to launch into. That's why I was bringing it this way.
All right.
So that's my thought. So you can give us a call, or if perhaps you want to keep your voice disguised because you're afraid your fellow time travelers may hear your voice and be recognized, and you might be erased from the timeline history, which I understand is a scary thought. you can just email me, dave@darknessradio.com, and tell me, as a time traveler, what you can about the future.
Now, I've got a huge question here.
Okay.
What if there's no email in the future? What if there's a different means of communication that we've yet to discover?
Well, but if they're time travelers, they can time travel to an era when there is an email, and they can send it to me. Something to think about. But what if they go like 40 years in the future and email me at that point? I might not get this response for another 40 years.
Yeah, see?
Right in time for our 55th anniversary. So that's exciting. All right, so here's the big news. All right, Trigger, I feel like I got to make a mention of this.
Okay.
This article may include triggers for some of you that are highly sensitive to a specific name of a politician in the United States right now, holding a very, very, if not the highest position. I want you to focus on the fact that this story is not about him. This story is about aliens. This story was covered on MSNBC and many other major platforms. I want to read this story, but it seems anytime I mention his name, whether it's, kind of just a fringe, just like, hey, so I was driving by this house and I noticed that they were watching President Trump talking on TV. And then I was in a severe car accident as Bigfoot dragged me out of the car and threw me into a UFO. I get hate mail because even the name Trump being brought up creates weirdness. It's
not even that. We could be sitting around talking about the card game we had the other day, and I say I throw my Trump card, and all of a sudden people go nuts.
Right. So it's, just if you're easily triggered by the name Trump, just don't listen to this next story. But it really has nothing to do with him, per se. Here's the article. A retired Israeli general made headlines by sharing with the world that he said he has been a closely... Good Lord. Let's try reading this again, Tim.
Sure.
A retired Israeli general made headlines by sharing with the world what he said has been a closely guarded secret. According to 87-year-old Professor Chaim Eshed, there really is life among the stars, and it thinks most of humanity isn't ready to meet it yet. And quite frankly, I can't say that I blame it, whatever it is, for being skeptical of us, especially right now. Eshed isn't just some random crank. He's the former head of the Israeli Defense Ministry's space directorate, which means he knows his way around a nebula. So when Eshed told the Israeli newspaper Yadat Aranat that a galactic federation has secretly made contact with Earth, it's no wonder the story caught our attention, that of MSNBC. It's no wonder that the story caught our attention in a tractor beam, especially his claim that President Donald Trump had to be talked out of discussing the aliens too soon. The story went viral after the Jerusalem Post published clips from the interview in English. Broadly speaking, there's a chance Eshed is correct. Not about the part where he claims that we've apparently set up a joint Terran alien exploration base on Mars, but possibly about the part where, as the famous Drake equation shows, the odds are good that there's some kind of extraterrestrial life out there. Humans are definitely on the lookout. China has spent more than $180 million on the world's first radio observatory with a core mission of looking for signs of alien life. As it stands, though, I'm very glad that nobody else in the galaxy has to deal with humanity. Not yet, anyway. Because, my friends, I have to say, we are a mess. Eshed's Galactic Federation quickly drew the obvious comparison to Star Trek's United Federation of Planets. The first contact between the people of Earth and an alien race in the Star Trek canon was depicted in the aptly named movie Star Trek First Contact. In the film, of course, humans had already gone through our apocalypse, a series of nuclear wars near the start of the 21st century. Humanity was finally open to putting aside its problems for something better. It's a nice sentiment baked in from the beginning of the franchise. One day, Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry promises in his vision there will be no need for money and no poverty, and peace will be the default political status. My favorite of the successor series, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, actively questioned whether that sort of utopia could exist and whether humanity could ever evolve to that point. The show went deep into the exploration, blah, 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 blah. This guy nerds out into Star Trek all of a sudden and gets over the point of this actual article. So, let me see here. Yeah, he just rambles incessantly about Star Trek for the next 12 paragraphs. But the fact is, an Israeli general believes that aliens are real and they have been in contact with us. We know about it, and that the president has been asked to keep quiet about it.
Well, you remember President Trump was all gung-ho about a space force,
Right.
about halfway through his administration.
Right.
And his ties to Israel have been quite close throughout his administration. He's been quite close to Israel. So there's obviously something there. I mean, he's
interesting. Yeah.
He's worked out a couple of peace treaties between Israel and a couple of different countries. So maybe there might be something there.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We've got more news stories, more of your stories right here on Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the program. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. Along with me, Tim Dennis. And let's just say you're ready to buy a house. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You probably want to know how old the roof is, what the neighborhood schools are like, and whether any spirits have unfinished business in the general vicinity. All the important stuff, Tim.
Okay.
Well, recently, a Baltimore-based real estate agent, Joy Shashinsky, did her prospective clients a solid and answered that last question before they even asked it. In bold white lettering over a black background, signs outside of 2 Hamden homes for sale promised the properties were not haunted. But when the signs went viral on Reddit and TikTok, many weren't reassured. Oh, it's definitely haunted, one Reddit user affirmed. But Shashinsky says the homes are ghost-free. She verified that with each property's sellers before posting the signs. And even though sellers aren't required to disclose a site's paranormal activity to buyers under Maryland law, Shashinsky says she's confident they were telling the truth. Yeah, people know if they're living in a haunted house, she says, and they all most likely tell you. As the former roommate of at least one spirit, Shashinsky would know. She moved into a new house in Hamden this summer where she'd lie awake at night listening to doors opening and shutting without explanation. Her cat, the Instagram famous Killer, would make a weird yowling noise anytime he walked to the corner of a room near the front of the house. Her dog, she says, looked like he knew what was going on too. It was freaky, she said. She lives alone and used to lock her bedroom door at night, but after Killer died in May, she says the bumps in the night suddenly stopped. That kind of made me feel like maybe my house was haunted and the ghost left with my cat, she said, laughing as she added, I sound completely crazy and I understand that. Shashinsky first posted the signs outside of homes on the market 3 or 4 years before her ghostly encounter, after returning home from a trip to the French Quarter neighborhood in New Orleans. There, she'd noticed signs in front of houses for sale that identified the properties as haunted. Oh, I think I can do something funny for this Halloween, she remembers thinking. Though she didn't set up signs until last year, Shashinsky decided to put the signs back into rotation for 2020. People need a laugh now more than ever, she figured. You get one person, let me see here. Article just vanished on me because ghosts, Tim, that's all I can say, ghosts.
Yeah.
You get one person to smile and it makes it all worth my effort that you put into it, she said. But at least one of the signs have since been taken down. Jess Mayhew and her husband, Danny, closed on the sale of one of the Hamden properties on Friday. The couple said they got a good laugh out of the sign when they first viewed the house in early November. The sign definitely represents sort of like the quirk and character of Hamden, which is the neighborhood we were looking to move to, Jess Mayhew said. It's a good omen, I guess you could say. So there we have a house or houses, Tim, that are reportedly not haunted.
Okay.
But the next story is an audio daily double, Tim. I know you love those.
Mm-hmm.
A blood-curdling scream from a living room is evidence of the paranormal, say ghost enthusiasts. That's right. A weird video records the terrifying sound of a human scream coming from a couple's empty living room in the middle of the night. Reddit user u/parrotparent uploaded the creepy footage to the Ghosts forum and said that the sound was so loud it woke her up. After checking the external cameras, said the noise definitely came from inside the home. In the clip, the darkened room is completely still and black. A cat is curled up asleep on the sofa. Suddenly, a scream erupts from somewhere nearby, and the sleeping cat jerks violently awake at the noise. Explaining more about the clip in the caption, the homeowner wrote, "Scream in the middle of the night while we were sleeping." The scream came from the living room. That's very ironic, don't you think, Tim?
Yeah.
The dad screaming from the living room. A lot of other weird occurrences in this house. The video has been upvoted more than 1,000 times, and hundreds of believers have left comments trying to deduce what the spine-tingling sound could be. A terrified-sounding viewer commented, "That's some paranormal activity shit right there."
Yeah,
Only
boy.
scene in the movie that really got me was the scream from the living room with the couple upstairs. This gave me the chills. Someone else joked, hell nah, burn the house down. Equally freaked out, another person wrote, "That sounds human." The final one, of course, "Holy shit, that was horrifying," a fourth person was quoted as saying. On the fence, one viewer said the noise could absolutely be paranormal, but also suggested it might be caused by a water pipe under high pressure. No. I'm going to say no, Tim. It is definitely not a pipe. How do I know? Because I've heard it, and now our listeners get to hear it as well, Tim. Let's go ahead and play. This is not a joke, kids. This is the actual audio from this news story, of which I will have a link to this news story up at darknessradio.com. Go to the news tab, and under today's date, December 16th, you will see the link for this story. Go ahead and play it. I mean, that definitely sounds like a scream, like a woman's scream to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like it's coming from inside that room. That doesn't sound like something outside bleeding through the walls. That sounds like something inside. It's creepy. It's weird. It's creepy, Tim.
Yeah, a little bit.
You're not as impressed, I'm guessing.
It didn't overwhelm me, no.
I think it's freaky. So you mean to tell me, if you woke up and noticed that your Ring camera had captured something strange and you played it and heard a scream coming from inside your house like that, that wouldn't unnerve you?
That doesn't sound like a scream to me.
It sounds like a woman yelling. What does it sound like to you?
It sounds like an echo. It doesn't sound like a pipe, but it sounds more like some sort of mechanical echo.
Oof, boy, you couldn't be more wrong.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I don't know. I can't tell you what it is either. To me, that's freaky. A bloke has been punched by a ghost. I guess that's worse than hearing a scream in your house, is to get a poke by a ghost. Simon Smirk, 40, claims he saw two haunting apparitions while walking home on Salt Road near Sutton Manor. Even said one of them punched him. A paranormal investigator claims he spotted two ghosts on the way home after he got a really bad feeling. Shaken bloke Simon Smirk, 40, claimed the experience a ghostly presence as he walked home on Salt House Road near Sutton Manor. I feel like we read this story last week. He said he was on his way home with his girlfriend at around 3 a.m. when he got a really bad creeping feeling. Mr. Smirk quickly pulled out his camera, taking pictures of his surroundings to see if he could spot anything. The investigator said he saw two apparitions in several different photographs,
Yes.
and claims to have felt real bad energy. Mr. Smirk said then he felt like he had been punched, and that made him feel really. Being punched by an unseen force makes you uneasy? What a wimp. But we do have this story up on our website, again, darknessradio.com. Click on the news tab. You'll hear the sound for yourself. Love to hear what your thoughts are on it. Dave at darknessradio.com. Email me your thoughts on that news story, what you think we might have just actually heard. Hi, Dave. I have a very strange question. That's how this email begins, Tim. I tried to do some research but hit dead ends, so I thought I would ask you. So, some background. As a child, I used to dream of flying with Peter Pan almost every night. And it was so real. I mean, I could feel myself flying. I could feel the wind, see the places we went clearly, even feel clothes on clotheslines as we flew past. But that was when I was a child. I could understand it and explain it away as being imaginative, even though it felt so real. But last night I dreamed of him again for the first time in years, only he was a man. He had dark hair and wore dark pants and a shirt and a leather jacket, the kind with shiny metal zippers. I think I was starting to wake up, or at least lucid, because I thought it was all so weird to be dreaming about him because he's not real. But then he turned to me and said, "How do I look after all these years?" It was at that moment I jolted awake. So my question is Peter Pan real? Or am I just being silly? And why would I see him if he is? Thanks. And that comes from Bernadette. Well, I'm not a psychologist, or a dream interpreter. Yeah, you sound silly. No, I joke. Wow. You know what sounds weird to me is she sounds like she's describing Michael Jackson in his black leather jacket with the zippers on it, who liked to call himself Peter Pan. So, my wife brought up the point, everybody thinks that Michael was trying to make himself look more like Diana Ross.
Yeah.
If you look at him, he actually looks like he's trying to turn into Peter Pan, the cartoon Disney version.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's the nose, the everything. It's kind of strange. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Again, I feel like you're giving me one piece of a puzzle that's upside down and asking me to tell you the whole story. I don't know if you had an affinity for Peter Pan growing up. I don't know if you feel, if you watched it, read it, was fascinated by Peter Pan, that could have played a big part in your dreams and helping you escape reality. And maybe there's something going on in your life right now that's causing you stress, and the freedom of flying, the freedom of being out is what you run into, in your dreams. And maybe then that flight initiated the dream memory of Peter Pan, and you realizing you're an adult, you kind of projected that Peter now would be an adult as well. So that's my psychobabble on it. I don't know. I don't think Peter Pan is real, though.
Why couldn't, and I'm just spitballing here, so bear with me for a second. This image of Peter Pan that's been with you, and is the emailer saying that this image of Peter has been with her all her life?
No, not this image. This was when she dreamt of Peter Pan. Now he appeared not like as Peter Pan so much, but as an adult in like this outfit. Yes.
Who's to say that Peter hasn't been with her all her life? That it isn't her spirit guide and or a tulpa that's been with her all her life.
Right. That's what I'm saying. We're getting just one slice of the pie here, so I don't know. But it's fascinating. Weird.
But being that Peter has just jumped back in now, and Peter is kind of, Peter was with her when she was younger, when she really needed Peter around with her, Peter in quotes, as I'm throwing up the air quotes here. And now for some reason, there's a reason why Peter needs to come back around right now, whether it be, we're all in a pandemic, life is stressful, things are rough. Peter makes an appearance now to say, how do I look now? Or I'm here now to give you some sort of security or to let you know that, everything's all right. It could be something as simple as a spirit guide or something as complex as, you've created this tulpa of Peter that comes to visit you in your dreams.
Right. Yeah, that's what I said. I don't know what's going on in your life right now that might be tying back to then. So you might want to actually sit back and think, is there something psychologically you're dealing with that makes you feel like you need a break? Is it any of the things Tim just mentioned? I don't know. Very, very strange. Very, but cool. I don't know. I'm sure, there's plenty of dream interpreters out there. So it's, maybe look into somebody like that might have a better concept of it. But I think just in the very short email you told me, we don't have enough info to go on off of that. But here's some interesting news, Tim. Okay. We've talked about this place a few times on our show. I worked behind the scenes on Ghost Adventures for 3, almost 4 seasons as a location scout. One location I went after relentlessly. I almost got them to bend a few times and it was unable to happen. but it's finally taken place. One of the most notorious haunted hotels in the United States will be investigated for paranormal activity, courtesy of Discovery's upcoming entirely new streaming platform. For the first time ever, the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles, California, will have film crews attempting to catch signs of spirits throughout its halls. The resulting 2-hour special of Ghost Adventures Cecil Hotel will be available on Discovery Plus in January 2021. That's right, Discovery Plus will be their new streaming service. You can subscribe and see all of your favorite shows, including the Holzer Files, ad-free. So make sure that you check it out and subscribe for that. The official Discovery press release states the Ghost Adventures crew, Zach, Aaron, Jay, and Billy, will delve into the hotel's murky past and creepier moments. These moments include the well-publicized case of Elisa Lam, which we've covered on our show, I don't know, like 4 times over the years. Mm-hmm. A Canadian tourist whose body was discovered in the hotel's water tank. Prior to that, video footage showing Lam nervously hiding in an elevator hinted at possibly more sinister things going on. The story revolving around Lamb's death and the events leading up to it still remain a mystery. Another notable guest of the Cecil Hotel was Richard Ramirez, later known as the Night Stalker. Ramirez was a serial killer that terrorized Los Angeles during the 80s. He was charged with the death penalty for the murders of 14 victims and died of cancer prior to his execution. No wonder the place was used as an inspiration for American Horror Story Hotel. It doesn't get bigger and more sinister than this, stated Baggins, the lead investigator. We've been trying to get inside these rooms for more than a decade, so this is a really big deal. The first paranormal investigation in the Cecil Hotel. It has a dark history and reputation, and it's one of the heaviest places we've ever been in. You can start streaming Ghost Adventures Cecil Hotel, as well as a ton of other great content, starting January 4th, 2021 on the Discovery Plus streaming platform, including Holzer Files episodes. Woohoo!
Sounds good.
See, that'd be a perfect time to stream episode 1 of the Holzer Files from season 1, then tune in that Thursday night to my Facebook or YouTube page for a live interview with guests from that first episode, including Cindy Keza and Shane Pittman. And we're going to talk about some of the queer and weird experiences we had out there in the field investigating. Pretty cool, huh?
Very cool.
I tied that all back together.
Yeah.
Now, they claim it's the first paranormal investigation. I know it's not the first one to take place. People have rented out rooms there and done investigations, but none have been televised. But I believe the Booth brothers actually got in there and rented a bunch of rooms and investigated them for a docuseries that I don't think they ever got off the ground, or I'm not sure if it did. But that is something that I know just because I was trying to get in there for Ghost Adventures at the time. Yeah. Interesting, huh?
Yeah, very.
All right, Tim. There's good news for you, my friend.
There is?
Good news in the robot development, Tim.
Oh, no.
Finally,
no.
It's going to make you happy, Tim.
No. There's never good news in robot development.
Trust me. It's a medicine breakthrough.
Uh-huh.
Robot parasites could solve healthcare problems as vaccines boom.
Mm-hmm.
Professor David Gracias, a biomolecular engineer at Johns Hopkins University, and his team have invented a new way for people to take medicine by attaching drugs to parasite-inspired nanotechnology that dispense drugs from within the body as and when they are needed. Talking to BBC Science Focus magazine about the breakthrough, Professor Gracias, I'm not sure how to say it, explained, "We've been trying to deliver drugs through gastrointestinal tract, and that is formidable challenge because the gastrointestinal tract has a mucosa, a mucus layer. It's kind of like a conveyor belt. It's constantly moving. It moves and it sheds cells in different parts of different rates. We were used to using a patch for controlled release on the outside of the body, but if you put a similar patch on the inside, it just can't be retained. To overcome this, the team looked to nature to see how the issue was solved, going on to transfer those methods to their man-made device and crack the healthcare problem." Now, he said, "We knew that there are worms and other organisms that colonize and live in the gastrointestinal tract for long periods. So we started looking into them. They dig into the mucosa. So we had this new idea of doing the same thing. The theragrippers are around 1/4 millimeter in size, barely visible to the human eye, and made out of metals and polymers. Other bioengineers have made devices of a centimeter thick, but as Professor Gracia said, these can become invasive and cause blockages and other issues inside the body.
Of course.
What?
Of course.
Now, the tiny grippers are filled with minuscule drops of medication and clipped into place with a string. With a spring, as Professor Gracias described, like a mousetrap. So rather than coiled spring, there are thin films that are under stress, and they want to release different things and are used to activate the polymer trigger. The Johns Hopkins team worked with a temperature-responsive trigger, which, when ingested, will thermally equilibrate the body, which is at a higher temperature of about 37 Celsius or so, and it triggers them. The tiny devices fall through the body until they reach the mucosa. From here, the theragrippers have claws, and claws release significant force, and they attach. The drug is loaded on a patch held inside, and then it diffuses. The theragrippers could essentially change the face of medication. Currently, around $600 billion in medication is currently wasted due to imperfect adherence to treatment. This could be anything from forgetting about your medicine or missing the correct dates to take your pills. As Professor Garcia said, if you have a system that continually releasing a drug, then you don't need to take many doses. But then there's the problem of taking the medication uniformly. Everyone's bodies are different. Many people experience the so-called spikes after taking a pill, which works its way into the body's system too quickly. With the device, an equal, slower release ensures that the medication is absorbed in a more balanced way. Professor Garcias also noted the potential benefit of convenience that devices have and said, we live in a world where we want convenience and we want to not worry about these type of things. You can see that in products like a nicotine patch, for example, people just put it on and then they forget about it for the rest of the day. Excitement around nanotech and medicine is in abundance, with developments fast tracking all over the world. There are 2 hurdles, however, that Professor Garcias and his team are currently trying to overcome. One is the engineering. There remains endless barriers should medical professionals wish to prescribe tiny prepackaged devices into the body to dispense medicine. Secondly, on the clinical side, trials are currently taking place in animals, but as Professor Garcias noted, it's another leap to go from animal to human, mainly because of safety considerations. So, Tim, great news. They're going to inject you with millions of little nanorobots that will disperse medicines to you and keep you safe and healthy.
Until they take over your body and rip you open from the inside. I don't think so. No, not today. I'll take my pills, thanks.
Tim, you live in a dark, dark world.
No, I'm just making sense, man. Just making sense.
Are you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Are you?
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Are you?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even said so in the article you just read.
Oh, did it now?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Spring-loaded trap, Dave. Claws, Dave. I heard claws. I heard spring-loaded traps.
Oh, really?
I heard things about gripping your insides.
Tim, Santa Claus, does that also make you afraid?
I don't know. Is he AI, Dave? Is he the Terminator? If so, I got a shotgun waiting for him at the end of my chimney.
Good God. You are frightening. You grew up on the wrong Christmas movies, Home Alone boy.
I'm not Shane Pittman. I'll tell you that much. I think the best Christmas movie ever is A Christmas Story.
Well, there's that. There is that.
Yeah.
We're picking on Shane Pittman from the Holzer Files because he posted, I think the greatest Christmas movie ever was Home Alone, Fight Me. And I went on to fight him repeatedly.
And as you should have, yeah.
Well, yeah, there's nothing better. Nothing says Christmas better like forgetting one of your children at home. Not once, but twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bad pick. Sorry, Shane.
Yeah. Sorry, Shane. Can't back you on that. I mean, the Grinch is a happier story than
it is.
Home
Yeah. the Grinch is like Snow White compared to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
To Kevin's mom and dad.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello, Dave and Tim. I have this Christmas ghost story I'd like to pass on to everyone, if you have the time.
Nope, sorry.
Okay, sorry. We were going to do it. We're not going to do it now.
No, let's do it. Let's do it. It's Christmas.
No, you know what? Yeah. Don't tell me what to do, Tim.
Oh, sorry. All right. Never mind.
Actually, you know what? Let's hold that story off till next week. Next week is Christmas.
Don't
time.
tease me like that. I was all Christmassy. I was thinking about Kevin's parents leaving him behind and with nothing but a candy cane and a knife for a shunt so he could stab robbers. And
A shunt?
I don't know.
Shiv? Is that what you meant to say? A shiv?
Well, no, because he could use it for other things.
Shunt it
Yeah, he
into
could use it to keep his heart open, his arteries.
Crazy.
Yeah. Because he's going to eat nothing but meat while they're gone. I mean, he just throw that in the oven. I mean, he had nothing to eat while they were gone. They really didn't plan well for him. I mean, he just go to the freezer and throw a whole ham in the oven. I mean, there's really nothing he could do.
I guess he seemed to do pretty good for himself, though. To be honest.
Well, yeah.
So I'll read this one, non-Christmas related.
Okay.
Remember, if you have Christmas ghost stories or holiday stories around Christmas that are ghostly related, we want to hear them. Send them to me. I'll read them next week. Just put in the reference line Christmas ghost story or holiday ghost story. How about that? Maybe it's a Hanukkah haunt. I don't want to just keep it to Christmas. Feel free to share your holiday related ghost stories and email them to me, dave@darknessradio.com. Or call in, better yet, 651-300-4977 and tell your story, and we will play it on an upcoming episode, probably next week in time for the holidays.
I would like to hear about Hanukkah hunt.
Oh, that would be interesting, yeah. Hi, Dave and Tim. My story starts about 3 years ago, and this incident has been going on for a while now. About 3 years ago, my husband and I were getting ready for bed. We weren't in bed yet, but we were pulling the covers down and talking about our day when all of a sudden we both heard our locked side door open and close, and the closed glass kitchen door open and close, along with heavy, loud footsteps that stopped in front of our bedroom door. We both stood there staring at the open bedroom, but there was no one there. We ran out of the bedroom and checked the doors, both doors, and closed. They were both closed and locked. We looked all over the house to make sure nobody broke in, and we found nothing. We ended going to bed freaked out and didn't talk about it anymore after that night. About a year after the first footsteps incident, I was home alone. There it is again, Tim, home alone.
Yep.
My husband was working, and I was again in my bedroom getting dressed for the day and making my bed when I heard the loud, heavy footsteps again walking towards my bedroom. I thought my husband was home early and from work, so walked out of the bedroom to say hi, and nobody was there. His car wasn't even in the driveway. So I called him and asked him if he came home and then left again, and he said, "No, I'm still at work. Why?" I told him about the footsteps, and he just made an excuse and said it's probably nothing to worry about. I was a little freaked out until he came home, and again, we didn't talk about it. My third footsteps incident happened on Memorial Day this year. We went to my sister's to help her set up one of those easy setup pools. It was a very hot and humid day. When we got home, I said to my husband, "Let's go swimming. We have a pool." So he said, okay. We already had his swimsuit on and said, "I'm going to put on my bathing suit. I'll be out in a few minutes." So my husband goes outside to blow up our pool floats. And I almost read that he went out to blow up the pool. I was like, "Oh, you guys have a good pool, I see."
Yeah.
It's a Minnesota pool. I walked through the house and started walking down the two steps to go to the side door. As I'm walking down the two steps, I hear the loud, heavy footsteps again. But this time, they were going down the basement stairs. I'm looking down the basement stairs, but not seeing anything or anyone. I'm just hearing the heavy, loud footsteps. I ran outside to tell my husband, and again, he was like, "Okay, sure." It was probably the air conditioning unit turning on. I said, "If that's our air, then we need to have someone come look at it." The next day I was doing dishes, and my husband said, "I'm going to vacuum the pool." And I said, "Okay, I'll be out soon so we can go swimming." As he's closing the side door to go outside, he's struggling to close the door. It was like he was playing tug of war with the door. He said to me, "Why can't I close the door?" We both looked around the door, and there was nothing there blocking the door. I yelled out, "Whoever is holding the door, let it go." And whatever it was, let go, because we were able to close the door. Again, he acted like it was nothing and just went outside. Later that day, I smudged the house, and when I got to the basement, I felt incredibly angry and started crying, which isn't like me. I smudged and told whatever is down there that they are not allowed in this house anymore and that they had to leave. The energy felt different down there after I smudged, and so far we haven't had any footsteps, but we have had other paranormal experiences, which I'll write to you about another time.
Oh, no.
Stay safe and happy holidays, Leslie from Michigan. Leslie, you tease.
Jeez.
You horrible, horrible, rotten tease. Okay. A couple left here on the story list that we've got to get to, Tim.
Okay.
A group of Iowa-based Bigfoot hunters are seeking evidence of Bigfoot in the Hawkeye State and are displaying their findings in a documentary, Searching for Bigfoot in Iowa. A group of Iowa-based Bigfoot hunters are seeking evidence of Bigfoot in the Hawkeye State and are displaying their findings in a new documentary, Sasquatch, Iowa. It was a cool spring evening in Waterloo, Iowa in 2009 when brothers Seth and Jesse Alney ventured into a small patch of woods. Cameras and flashlights down, the pair walked side by side down a dirt trail. The object of their search? Bigfoot. Dark shadows and eerie sounds lurked behind every tree. Every snap of a twig echoed as they crunched beneath the feet of the unknown. The Alney brothers split down a trail to avoid trekking through a flooded area when Jesse saw a large, hairy creature approaching. It was huge, with red eyes that were glowing in the night. The creature pushed over a massive tree and glared at him with intent. At this point, Jesse yelled out to Seth, saying what he believed he was seeing, a Bigfoot. The pair then began to pursue the creature as it ran away, barreling through the trees and shrubs. Jesse and Seth pursued as long as possible, but were quickly outrun and left in disbelief of what had just occurred. Eventually, the pair made their way out of the woods and recollected themselves. To this day, they are still unsure of what they saw, but it was enough evidence for the pair to try to go out and find more. The Alney brothers founded the Calhoun County Paranormal Investigators, a group that started as a group of Iowa-based ghost hunters in 2005. While the organization still dabbles in ghost research, they began focusing on researching Bigfoot after hearing about stories of the cryptid in Iowa. Bigfoot, a large ape-like creature believed to live in the Pacific Northwest region of North America, is one of the world's most notable cryptids. To some, Bigfoot is one single creature, but according to the Calhoun County Paranormal Investigators, there are multiple living around the country. Our search ended up leading us one night, and we got lost in the woods, Seth Alney said, and it led to a pretty insane run-in, especially for Jesse. It was his first sighting, and it all just kind of pushed us over the edge. And that was back in 2009 that we really started diving after Bigfoot. The group's research on ghosts was done through similar documentation as their Bigfoot research. Through audio and visual recordings, the group sought after evidence of paranormal activity within Iowa. On the group's YouTube channel, many videos have been uploaded documenting the ghost hunting process, including a documentary titled Haunted Iowa. Back in 2010, we had set out on a mission to show everybody that, hey, Iowa is haunted, Seth Alney said, because no one was coming here. No one was looking for ghosts and stuff like that. So this round, we're like, hey, we love Iowa. Like, I was like, nothing's better to us than Iowa. And we want to show people that there's Bigfoot here, too. All these poor deluded kids, Tim.
Oh, I know.
I know the brothers. Maybe we need an intervention.
I think so. When you've never been out of Iowa, you don't quite know what's outside of the state and what's in the real world. And you start to become deluded. You start to, it's like
to believe that Iowa's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like being in the desert too long, you start to see mirages and stuff like that. So
maybe they've got that syndrome, like when you've been captive too long, you start feeling for your captor.
Yeah. Stockholm syndrome. Yeah.
So they've got Iowa syndrome.
Yeah. I don't know I don't know if there's an alliteration that really fits, like Iowa. I don't. Yeah.
Iowa.
Yeah. Iowa.
So much thought into that.
Well, it's essentially what it feels like. It's like a malaise that never really leaves you. I still suffer from it 20 some years later. Yeah.
Well, Seth Alney said that the investigators aim to validate other experiences with Bigfoot sightings throughout extensive research and documentation. Equipped with cameras, voice recorders, and a gun, just in case, the group travels across the state to research Bigfoot in the form of hunts. During hunts, the group tries to capture audio and video of the slightest indication of Bigfoot activity. They attempt to attract the creature toward them through Bigfoot calls, a sound made by producing long ape-like howls into the night. The group's extensive research has been turned into a documentary entitled Sasquatch, Iowa, which debuted on YouTube in late October, currently with 6,000 views. Squatch, Iowa follows the group's many Bigfoot hunts, including a large-scale hunt at Yellow River State Forest, analysis of their findings and stories of first-hand experiences from fellow Iowans and hunters. Their findings range from audio and video evidence to unexplained animal tracks. Squatch, Iowa toys with the theory that Bigfoot may not be a fully flesh and blood creature, but possibly a spiritual or perhaps even extraterrestrial being. There are several theories of exactly what kind of creatures Bigfoot may be. One theory Seth Alney has is that Bigfoot may be an evolution of the Nephilim. Those are the creatures mentioned in the Old Testament of the Bible that formed as the offspring of angels and humans. Both Alney brothers also believe the creature could be a descendant of Gigantopithecus, an extinct species of giant ape found in Southeast Asia. Iowa native and original member of the group, Dan Gert, said anything is possible. I don't think anything's out of the realm of possibility, especially with Bigfoot, because nobody really knows anything about them, Gert said. The idea of Bigfoot being spiritual is not entirely out of the question, but also, there is no definitive research on the topic. Gert also acts as the group's skeptic, challenging their ideas with scientific reasoning. We should maybe get the Alney brothers on here and educate them on other states.
Yeah, I worry about them. It's like they've been squirreled away too long, like like they've been tied up to their pickup truck for too long.
Hey, New Jersey town has been rocked by mysterious booms. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go back to my room.
Might have been the new Bruce album. Did you see Bruce on SNL this week?
Who are you talking to?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you're an old man. You don't stay up past 10.
I didn't watch Saturday Night Live, but I watched the Hulu version of it so I could just watch the songs. Yeah, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but Saturday Night Live sucks.
It does not. It is very good. It's been very good for a couple of years now.
Yeah. A small New Jersey town is being rocked by mysterious booms, prompting a slew of shaken residents to call 911 to report the unsettling sounds. It just sounds like a bomb dropped from a plane, a caller in usually quiet Molika Township told an emergency operator, according to the recording obtained by NBC TV affiliate WCAU. Another person in Atlantic City community reported that there was just this tremendous explosion nearby. A third caller added, "This has been happening once a week. I mean, it's almost blowing our houses off their foundation." The residents said the booms have been occurring off and on for weeks, and emergency calls have been coming into townships from about a 10-mile area. Local cops say they have no idea where the sounds are coming from, but they are investigating. At this point, it's a mystery, Molika Township Police Chief Brian Zeck told the station, and we're currently trying to triangulate the area of the sound. Zeck told NJ.com that a loud noise reported Tuesday likely came from a detonation at a nearby National Guard site, but that previous booms don't appear to have originated there. He added that while the hunting season in the state began over the weekend, when an uptick in the booms was reported, the noises that residents are describing are just not firearms. They're hearing these loud boom, boom. That'd be weird. All of a sudden your whole house just shakes and they can't tell you what's causing it?
Generally, it's right after dinner.
Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go back to my room where we can do it all night and I can make you feel right. I'm Bill Curtis and boom, boom, boom. Let's go back to my room. An investigator found indestructible debris not made by human hands at the alien Roswell crash site, his private journal reveals. In July of 1947, a UFO reportedly hurtled into the ranch in New Mexico. The most famous alien legend of all was born, Tim. Soon after, the military sensationally announced in a press release that the remains of a crashed flying saucer had been discovered in the desert. The following day, however, the statement was retracted, and it was said to be instead a damaged U.S. Air Force balloon. The incident has become one of the most discussed and controversial UFO theories in history. Jesse Marcel, an intelligence officer of the 509th Bombardment Group at the Roswell Army Airfield, was tasked with investigating the crash. Now, more than 30 years on from his death, on June 24th, 1986, his grandchildren, Jesse Marcel III and John Marcel, claim he was ordered to deny what was actually discovered at the crash site. Speaking to the Daily Mail, his grandson, Jesse Marcel III, said he was made to be the fall guy. He was the head of intelligence in Roswell, New Mexico, and followed his orders. In essence, he was at the heart of the story and heart of the conspiracy. and cover-up. The wreckage was first discovered by W.W. Mac Brazel, who spotted odd pieces of metal and debris scattered across Foster Ranch. Jesse Marcel III said even animals had a sense about it, whatever it was, and did not want to go around it. He, Jesse Marcel, had examined the debris in the field and determined it was not made by human hands. Now, this is all well and good. We've heard this story before. Mm-hmm. Here's where it gets interesting. Pieces of debris were taken to the Roswell base where team tried to figure out what they were and what the material was. According to Marcel, some beams were etched with alien writing. Again, stuff we already know. Grandson John Marcel said there were glass fibers and fiber optics that may have been from the computers on board the ship. But when my grandfather came home with the debris, our dad looked through it with a shining light and saw a purple light inside with a symbol of a seal balancing on a ball on its nose. My grandfather said, "You might be the first person on Earth to look at alien writing." The fascinating diary will be revealed for the first time in a 3-part series, Roswell, the first witness, on the History Channel. So they are opening his original diaries to go deeper into the story. The show airs on History Channel, follows the investigation of the Marcel children along with former CIA operative Ben Smith. The claim comes after extraordinary footage emerged reportedly showing an alien creature being carted away on a stretcher. The grainy video is alleged to have been shot in an Area 51 hangar and apparently films an alien being taken away. Meanwhile, the ex-head of Israel's police space program says aliens are hiding among us but will only reveal themselves when mankind is ready. So this is fascinating that they're actually releasing the information from Jesse Marcel's diary itself. So we're going to get a deeper, more intrinsic look at this case.
Yeah, it is fascinating. That's for sure. Yeah.
Our final story is here. A bride-to-be is forced to sell her haunted wedding dress after it possessed her house. A bride-to-be has revealed how she is selling her haunted wedding dress after a string of eerie occurrences around her home. The unidentified U.S. woman said she found the vintage dress in an abandoned old gold rush town while hiking and took it home, determined to wear it to her upcoming nuptials. But a string of unbelievable events, including moving items, unexplained smells, swarms of flies, and flying objects, eventually convinced her that the gown was possessing her home. Advertising the dress for sale on Facebook at just $600, Tim, that's all. The bride explained the bizarre string of events. While my fiance and I were hiking through a small town between Fairfax and Carbonado, Washington, we came across an old gold rush town that was completely abandoned, she wrote. Needless to say, our curiosity got the best of us, and we started to explore the ruins of this ghost town. In one of the rundown remnants of a small cottage she shimmied up into, I came across this dress. It was gorgeous. I froze at the sight of it. And if I'm being completely honest, it scared the crap out of me all the same time, but something about its ethereal beauty just begged me to bring it home. But the bride-to-be said it wasn't long before things started going very wrong. Afterwards, things at home would never be the same. After a week of having a dress, we noticed my cat beginning to hide underneath the bed almost all day when she normally spent all day on us or her designated windowsill. Then things started moving around the house. First, small things like socks and my closet door being open in the morning when I specifically remember closing it the night before. Then my cat's food tray would get thrown at such velocity it would knock things off the shelf. Hung on the wall, it struck. This happened relentlessly. And then came the smell of rotten eggs and fire that would fill the bedroom night after night. Then flies started to pile up against my back windows and swarm around my front doors. Attempt to bless the bride's dress and home with holy water only intensified the activity. Doors slamming, lights turning off and on, candles being blown out in air, footsteps all over my apartment, and heavy anguish sighs so close to my ears that I could feel the breath of whoever it came from. It was only when she gave it to her future mother-in-law for cleaning and tailoring that things finally changed. During the 2 months that she had the dress, it was completely peaceful. No more tension in the room, no more arguing between me and my partner, no more objects moving or footsteps, and my cat was back to her affectionate, playful self. She never got it dry cleaned and begged me not to get married in this dress because of the energy surrounding it, and I hadn't even told her about what was going on at home because up until that point, I hadn't even connected the two. Needless to say, I need to get it out of my house, and I know there are some people who are willing to take on this endeavor. But many Facebook users were disgusted by the bride-to-be's story, outraged that she'd sell a dress she effectively stole for hundreds of dollars. What a horrible person for stealing something like that in the first place, said one. I'm glad she's being haunted for it. Sounds like karma to me. I hope that ghost comes at her harder, too, not only for her theft, but her attempt to sell what she's stolen for $600. Added another, teach you to go around stealing wedding dresses from ghost towns. Others thought it was just best to dispose of the gown or return it to where she found. Burn it and dump the ashes in a river, said one. This isn't your dress. Take another hike to the ghost town and leave it there. Do the right thing, wrote another. I agree. Selling it for $600 seems kind of shifty.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, shady, my friend.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for today. We will be back tomorrow with more of the best in paranormal talk radio when we turn our eyes to the skies. That's right. Ryan Sprague is back as we look at strange skies, UFO encounters. That's tomorrow here on the best in paranormal talk radio. For Tim Dennis, I'm Dave Schrader. This is Darkness Radio.